It always starts with the individual, just like anything that happens on a team. That's what's going to change this culture. And so I hope that as we continue to chat, you'll be open to the idea that if you start making changes for yourself, that will set a tone that will start shifting that acceptance of that behavior. It also affects patient outcomes, obviously. All right. So, actually, before we even say transforming the culture, I would love to find a way to get rid of the phrase altogether that nurses eat their young. I think, do you want to go to work somewhere where the norm is that nurses eat their young? And I'm sure none of you eat your young, but the point is that it's an accepted phrase, right? I want you to think about that. So maybe you can start helping people reframe or correct the words so that that's not the image that you're sending out. So the very first thing that you do to transform a culture is you've got to have compassion and empathy. So you, I'm sure, are extremely compassionate and empathetic with your patients, right? But for some reason, when we turn that lens on ourselves or on each other, it goes out the window. So the next time someone is bothering your work, here's what I want you to do. I want you to run this little scenario through your head. I wonder why they get up in the morning and they say to themselves, I want to be miserable today. I want to go to work and I want to make as many other people miserable as possible. Like, who would do that, right? So something is wrong. That person is in a place of pain or need or inability to handle whatever is going on. So instead of immediately judging them as the bad apple, I want you to try to think, is there something compassionate or empathetic that I could say to connect with this person? That's all. It's almost no effort. Versus what really happens on teams most of the time that don't have this training is they immediately start judging that person and they either become ostracized or they add to this person's stress. Odds are the person is already stressed if they're behaving that way. So part of teamwork is watching out for your team members and trying to pull in that empathy and that compassion. So practicing these behaviors with team members is one of the fastest and most effective methods for developing cohesion. We need to see people as people. We tend to see people as objects. We objectify people. That's really what's at the heart of all conflict is you're busy, you're under pressure, you're stressed, and you turn around and you don't see a human being, you see a nurse, or that's just an aide, or that's just a volunteer. Like you're not seeing them as who they are, people. I love that handout that Katie gave us. It's a beautiful reflection of this, actually. So the next way to transform the culture is accepting personal responsibility. So this in no way is about you fixing other people. This is about you paying attention to yourself. What are you spreading? What are you doing? What are you saying? What are you modeling? Each team member must take responsibility for their own actions and behavior and recognize how their behavior impacts the group. Then there's a really interesting phenomenon that I've uncovered over the last few years, which is we assume, we being this whole Western culture, we assume we can take anywhere from 2 to 100 people and throw them in a room and tell them to produce something and expect them to know how to get along. So if you think about the cultural talk you heard this morning, we all have a completely different perspective of life based on our religion, our ethnicity, the color of our skin, our experiences, the number of ACE traumas we've had in our life. That color is how we see things. So just to throw people together and expect them to understand group dynamics. How many of you have ever studied group dynamics? Oh, excellent, okay. So we've got a few experts here. But in general, that doesn't happen, right? So we need to stop assuming that people understand group dynamics. Studies indicate, however, that team members' mastery of designated teamwork knowledge predicts better task proficiency and increased teamwork performance. So that means if you train them about teamwork, they will be a better team. It's that simple. And that's missing from most training programs. Finally, we have to establish trust and safety. Dr. Lurdy covered safety today. I'm not going to cut off anyone's head or arm. I think we all got that message. It was great, wasn't it? But we will focus on trust because that's the point. That's the key. We need to trust each other, and that's missing. So an ever-growing body of evidence reflects that happy people are actually more productive people. They have to do a study for this. I don't know. They've done many studies on this, but it seems kind of common sense. But unhappy people are not. Unhappy people are not only unhappy and less productive, but they spread that unhappiness. So again, that's why it's critical that you spend the time and dedicate the money in getting people trained to understand what's expected, to accept their personal responsibility, and then it's up to the group to establish and maintain a level of trust. A person cannot develop and flourish without a foundation of trust and safety. It's not possible. All right, how are you doing? Fall asleep on me? Everybody awake? Okay, before we go into building trust, I'm going to give you a little exercise to learn. So this one's easy, you don't have to stand up, but it's really important. A lot of what causes conflicts on teams is stress. That's the majority of it, right? It's stress. We get stressed, we lose track of our stress, we don't control or manage our stress. And sometimes when you consider especially your careers, your field of work here, it's always stressful. Right? I don't imagine any of you ever have a stress-free day at work. So what I'm always looking for are little simple tools and tricks you can use that lower your stress from a physiological standpoint. So an easy one is, this audience is probably well aware, when you get stressed, you set off your sympathetic nervous system, right? You're all aware of that? Sympathetic nervous system. So, and you know that releases adrenaline and cortisol and all the stress hormones, right? Well, you can disrupt that process by turning on your parasympathetic nervous system. And all you need to do is signal to the brain that everything is fine, and the brain responds. So it will stop flooding you with adrenaline, and it will switch over to the feel-good hormones, right? Like dopamine or oxytocin. So all you have to do is, and you have to be genuine about this, so I'm going to be listening. What you have to do is simply take a breath in through your nose, and when you release it, sigh with relief. So just take a breath in through your nose, and sigh. Okay, you are almost at the end of a long day, so I'll bet you can come up with a better sigh than that. So I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose, and really sigh with relief. Excellent. Good. Now you can do that, and you can even do that in public. No one will know that you're doing anything weird, right? So you can take, right before you go into a patient's room, right before you have a meeting with that problem employee, whatever's going on, take a deep breath in through your nose and sigh with relief. So you're helping your system instead of fighting it.